Good afternoon. We're going to do the watch list for the week of October 5th. Before we get started with the watch list, if you're not in the Discord room, the link is in the description of the video, and you also can find it in my bio of the Twitter and Stock Twits. This week is going to be news sensitive, so we've had a lot of news. I mean, obviously Trump tested positive for COVID-19. Other politicians have. Christie from Florida, and there's been a few others I can't name off the top of my head, but yeah, politicians close to Trump are testing positive. Biden hasn't yet, as of yet, so if he ends up testing positive and both presidential nominees have it, they're probably going to postpone the election if they're not already thinking about it now. Also, I just saw that the New York is already talking about shutting down non-essential businesses. So I think a lockdown is imminent heading into winter. So that will dramatically impact the market. I mean, lately it's been shrugging things off, but it's not going to shrug it off much longer. I mean, if another lockdown happens, it's not going to shrug that off. So I would be very careful. Like I said, it will be very news sensitive. So anything that starts out strong tomorrow, one tweet, one press release is going to change the whole dynamics of the market. So I would be very careful this week, and don't be too one-sided when it comes to trading. So be prepared to change your position and switch from long to short or short to long based on what's happening in the world, politics, whatever. So that said, like I said, the watch list I have, not too much is really showing up that I really care about. But like I said, I mean, what I'm saying now could definitely be different if something comes out with the news. Stimulus was supposed to come out, but it didn't, and now they're going to extend it until, I don't know, end of October, late October. So it's going to be extended, delayed for another couple of weeks. So I can't imagine the market's going to like that, because they've been talking about the stimulus package forever, and it doesn't go anywhere. Then the market dumps. Then they say, oh, talk's on again. Then it pops. Then it doesn't go anywhere. So that's the whole theme. It's just all hype and smoke and mirrors with that stimulus until it's actually passed. I just think it's all crap. So anyways, I have SPY up right now, and depending on what happens, as of right now, with lockdown possibly end up coming, I think that we're going to end up seeing SPY back to 300, but we'll just take it one day at a time, one news event at a time. And if it does get below 330, I would look for a support right around into the 325, then the 320. The 320 breaks, that's going to be a good big push to the 310 area. So even the 314. So if it does, manage to drop and it loses this 320, it's going to probably drop to 310 really, really fast. So you look at the MACD on the weekly, and it's just it's going to be an interesting week to say the least. So we'll have to see what happens. I'm not quite sure how this weekend's news is going to impact futures today. I'm not sure how big the gap down will be, if there even will be one. Usually I look on weekend Wall Street, which I'm doing right now, and some of the time it's just not very reliable. Yeah, it says it's down down 29 points on weekend Wall Street, but who knows? It'll probably come out green as far as by the time 6 o'clock comes. So yeah, then I just seeing that Pelosi is making progress on corona relief legislation, so they're getting ready to pump it. So anyway, so that's what SPY. If SPY loses that, it's probably going to end up going to the 320. If not, it gets over 340. It could get over to 345 and push to 350. It's all going to depend on the news. So BA is one I'm watching for. an upside, even though BA just does not like to get out of its own way. It cannot get over 170 to save its life, but if stimulus does come out and positive news comes out, I will watch it over 170 for a push into the 180s on BA. Now Lulu, I mean, this has been on my radar for a while, and it didn't really fill the gap. It came close. I mean, like $5 off, so I would be a bit surprised. I mean, it does have a little head and shoulders right here, left, head, and right. I mean, it could pull back, but if the market does manage to get bullish and strong, then I would watch it over the I would say 337 for a push to that high of the 343, then for a gap close into the 350s. So I would definitely watch Lululemon. WYNN is another one. Not WYNN. Now WYNN is just consolidate right here. It did it right here. So if no bad news comes out and there's no like voluntary or the Vegas shuts down or anything, and the market has any strength whatsoever, I like to see a push to 80. So anything over 74, it's going to push to 78. And if it gets to the 78 area, it's probably going to push to 80. And if it's really strong, it's got room and a gap up here at 82. So I would watch a WYNN for that. ATVI is another one that's coming up. Now I had a big down day on Friday, for ATVI, so which is Activision. But when it gets into the 78 area, it likes to bounce. It has the last few times, so I would watch it over 79 for a push to let's see, 80, 81. Then if it gets to the 82 area, it could fill a gap to 83. So a gap fill would be ideal, but we'll have to see if it can get over into this 78 area. I mean, 79 area. So that's where I would take it, like right over here, right over this 79.38 or 79. Sorry, I'm yawning. 79.35 area is an area that would possibly be a good area to take it. Now, Lilly is another one. Now, the reason I like this is showing a bullish divergence. I mean, you get it on the RSI, which is right. It's making lower lows, and the RSI is rising. Same with the MACD. Same with the histogram. Well, actually, not the histogram. Histogram is not, but it is on the MACD and the RSI. So Lilly could turn around and go, and if it does, I would watch it over 147 for a push to the 149 area. Then 150 would be the big psychological number, and if it does manage to break 150, 151 to 152 would be the other areas I'd be watching. So Facebook is another one. I mean, Facebook's got a head and shoulders. I mean, you get a left head and a right shoulder. But the thing that's interesting, on a lot of these FANGs, they have this chart set up. They have like the MACD crossing over on the weekly, but yeah, it's starting to go into oversold conditions on the weekly. But on the daily, it's showing oversold, and the MACD's crossing for a bullish signal. So you're getting mixed signals on Facebook. So if the market's strong, I would watch it for a push over anything over 265. I mean, you can even get it over like 263 for a push to 266 to 268. If it manages to break out of the 268 area, it's probably going to push to 270 to 275. So I would watch Facebook for a possible reversal if the market is strong. If the market's not strong, here are the ones to watch. If the market is weak this week, I have Roku. Roku, I mean, just bringing it up on I like to look at the weekly on the side chart I mean, Roku, you get a bearish divergence going on right here. It's making higher highs. RSI is making lower lows, and MACD is doing the histogram is doing the same thing, and the stochastics too. So I think that, if it gets below this 198 area, it's going to get down to the 193s, and it breaks the 93s. It's going to fill the gaps into the 189s and 185 area. So the market's weak, I definitely watch Roku. It does struggle above 200, and the fact that it closed at exactly 200 seems a little suspicious. So Disney is another one. I mean, with all sports players getting tested for COVID and things still operating, and if more of closures happen, then I wouldn't be surprised if we see some not just teams but leagues cancel their season. So I would definitely watch that. So anything underneath the 120, 122, it breaks this 121 area right here. It's all over for Disney. It's going to drop to probably 117 to 115 to 112 to even the 110 area. So Disney needs to hold this 120. If it doesn't hold this 120 area, it's going to fall apart. And if the market's weak, it's going to help it. So BABA is another one. Oops. Now, BABA, I know that it's been strong, and BABA loves Biden and stuff like that. So this might be a tricky one. I mean, on the hourly, it's got no, it's kind of like wedging a little bit. It's pushing down. So there's a little seller pressure right here below 290, and it's gonna doesn't like to stay above this 295. So especially like 300, it can't even make it to 300. So I would be watching BABA for a pullback if the market's weak under 286 for a gap support at the 284, and if it does manage to break that, it's gonna probably drop to the 280 area, and if it doesn't hold there, it's got room to 275, and I would imagine it might hold that. If it doesn't, the market's really weak, it's going to gap down here in the 270s to fill. So I would definitely watch BABA for a short side if the market is weak. Now Walmart is another one. If unless news comes out, I mean, I'm still looking for this for the short side. I mean, you get a head and shoulders on the hourly, left head and right shoulder, and if it does manage to get below the 140, I would look for push down to the 139s, to the 138s, and it's been really holding this like 137 area really well, and 136. So that might be as much downside as you're going to get on this. But if the market's really weak, it could just really pummel Walmart. Sometimes Walmart trades against the market. So if the market's red, Walmart usually does good. So you have to be leery of that. That Walmart does not always follow SPY. So, but sometimes if the sell off or if there's real panic in the market, it more than likely will. Baidu is another one, another China name. This thing just cannot get over 127. It tries here, fails the next day. It did it for a little bit right here, but it cannot. So I would watch it underneath the 123.50 for push down to the 122. If it does make it to 122, you get the 120 area, then you have the 118, 117 area. So I would watch that. Now if it does manage to lose this, it's got some downside down to the 113 area. So we'll have to see if Baidu can actually drop if the market drops. So but the thing with Baidu, I don't like trading it that much, is that the spreads are bad usually. So if Baidu is selling off and the spreads aren't too bad, I'll usually jump in it. But Target, I know Target looks like it wants to break out, and it probably will. But you get a bearish divergence going on right here. Histogram, RSI, I mean, it's making higher highs in the RSI and the histogram, and the MACD is making lower lows. Same with that. So there's pretty significant bearish divergence happening in all four indicators: RSI, histogram, MACD, and the stochastic. So I mean, usually that's a strong sign that there's a reversal coming soon. Even the weekly has one. Let's see, the weekly making higher high, and the histogram is going down. So that's why I'm watching it for the short side. It could break out, but I don't want to chase this, especially if the market's weak, or ends up being weak, I should say. Watch it underneath 158 for push to 156, then to 154, then the 153, 52 area. And if the market's really weak, really weak, I mean, it could push to 150. So we'll have to see if that will happen. Now, this is where it did break out right here, the 150, because it consolidated, then it broke out. So it could come back and retest this area, or even come down to the 146. So last one, Netflix. Netflix, it just... I know it usually does well during lockdown and stuff like that, if a lockdown does happen, but it struggles in this like 530 area. I mean, it pops up really harsh and gets rejected and drops, pops up, rejected. So I'm looking for it to get back under 500. I'm not sure if it will, but that's what I'm thinking. On the daily, the stochastic is considered oversold, so but on the weekly, it's happened. It's so many on these charts. The weekly, it's no, the daily it's overbought, and the weekly it's oversold. There's so many FANG stocks that are like that are doing that, having those kind of like different signals on different charts. So you just have to go based on price instead of stuff like that. So just be aware that Netflix could go. It was strong during the first lockdown, if there is another one, but I am looking for it to get under 500. If it does manage to get under 500, it's got room to 490, even to the let's say 490. Probably it's going to be a big area. If it loses that, I would look for the 484, then the 480, and if it does manage to lose that, you got 470s in here. So which is where it's been holding for a few months, the 470s. So I would keep an eye on Netflix. For the short side. So this is gonna be it for the watch list. Like I said in the beginning, it's gonna be very news sensitive. All it's gonna take is just a drop of a tweet or news, and the positions are just gonna change, just like BA did and SPY did last week. So be prepared for that. I wouldn't hold overnight because anything can happen. But yeah, so this week could be very volatile and very tricky. So just be cautious of that. So that's going to do it for the watch list. Thank you.